How's it going, YouTube? Anime Bar Lounge here with a One Piece trading card game, announcing a format that I have made myself. The point of the format is to replicate the feeling of Commander/EDH from Magic the Gathering, especially back in the days where it used to be more casual. Format is designed around 4 players, but you only need 2 and you can have as many as you want. It's Battle Royale, just casual, fun format, play for as long as you want, get food, get drinks, get whatever you want. Classic, fun, casual fun. Anyway, let me explain why I felt I needed this format first. I'm going to have timestamps so you can just skip ahead if you want what the actual format is. But basically, I've been having a lot of fun with the game, but as it is, it just kind of feels like the tournament kind of vibe. I feel like I'm getting really stale with the meta game and being able to see ahead and just know what the best decks are going to be. And it's fun to experiment and build road decks, and I'm pretty good at building road decks. Whenever I take it to locals, I usually get a lot of feedback that is generally positive, and even when the decks are less than stellar, usually there's a spicy tech in there. People usually give me emotional validation. So you know who you are, guys. Thank you for all the cool local support that I get in my community. The community has been the best part of this game so far, and that's why I want to give back to it, because when I first started playing the format, it was hard to get product. And that created this vicious cycle of, needing more and more cards. And so we would always go around and get more and more cards, and then we would go to locals, and everyone was driven to win and top just to get a few extra packs to share with your closest friends. But as I just kept going to locals, I just kept having more and more fun with the casual community, and a lot of the people there would hook you up if you're missing cards and stuff. So slowly, as product became more and more available, the desire to just go there just to play in the tournament and win packs kind of went away. So hit a phase of burnout, didn't really want to do much with the game for a bit around the time Set 4 came out, which sucked because I really liked the Rebecca deck and I have this in the alt art. So it's just been a weird year with the game, I guess. But it has been a fun game, and I just kind of want to get back to the roots, because when I first started playing, it was really just me and my friends building whatever dog-ass decks we could get our hands on with the cards we had. Usually when you're new to a card game, we all grew up, well, I say we all, but I grew up, playing those cardboard rectangles right on the pavement of the playground, turn them sideways, absolute dinguses we were. But you know the feeling of just slapping together a few booster packs that your mom bought you with your allowance, and just going to your friend who also has the most dog-ass deck imaginable, and then having fun. So what I like is a combination of competitive and goofiness, which is what I'm trying to replicate here, where there's probably going to be an established metagame. That's just how these things go. The idea is more or less just a format where no one can really snowball too early, so if anyone takes a massive lead, all the other players can sort of group up on that person. So anyway, it's more or less the emotion behind all that went in this. Let's talk about the actual logic of the rules. I'm calling this Alliances format, and what Alliances format is you pick, when you deck build, you pick 2 leaders. And these 2 leaders need to share similarities. They can either share color or archetype, with some key terms. So if they share a color and one of them's dual color, that's usually all you need to worry about. So like, for example, these both share purple. But if one of these was like, here, I'm gonna grab some, I have some behind scenes stuff going on. This is your monocolor one. You can't just do, that, or you can do that. Now, monocolor works a bit different. They need to share an archetype, which is why another combination you can do. Hang on, might need to. Oh, it's right here. You can do 2 monocolors, which will give you more life. They need to share an archetype, so these 2 share film. Rules I've made are, if when you pick the dual color leaders, they do have to share a color, so you can't have like Blurple Croc and Trafalgar Law, for example. They don't share a color. So at most, as the rules are right now, you'll have a 3-color that you can build around. Now let's get more into deck building. When you build your deck, the deck can be any color that the 2 leaders combined are. So that would be if we were playing these, you would have a purple and red deck. However, if the cards in your deck share any of the attributes, so for these two combined, that would be Film, Four Emperors, and Red-Haired Pirates, the color restriction does not apply. So that means you can run green film cards because these are film cards. So the color restriction still exists, but is somewhat malleable so that you can really go really heavy into archetypes. You also just get a lot more options in terms of what you can and can't put in a deck. Now let's talk about some of the other restrictions to balance that out. When you play Alliances format, you will get life for both leaders, and they will be split into a left board state and a right board state. So you'll have, for example, these are both 5 life leaders, so you'd have 5 life for Shanks and 5 life for Uda. You would also draw your 5 cards, of course, and then you would start the game. Your Dawn deck's going to be 20 cards, and when you, in this format, as long as there are 3 or more players, so basically when it's a multiplayer format, you can choose where the Dawn lands as far as between the 2 leaders. But you will always start with 2 Dawn instead of 1 if it's a multiplayer game. If it's a one-on-one game for Alliances format, first player does still get 1. Just kind of makes it more like normal One Piece at that point. But yeah, multiplayer format, 3 or more players, 2 Dawn from turn 1. No players can attack on their first turn. Just keep it simple. So when you play the game, these 2 board states are separate. So draw a line between them down the middle. You have a left board state and a right board state. And when you apply Dawn, you can move Dawn between the 2, but your Dawn needs to be separate. So if you're tapping 1 Dawn here, you're not tapping 1 Dawn here. So basically, if you have 2 Dawn here and you tap 2, that's 2 Dawn for this board state. You can have a max of 10 Dawn per board state. So if the game lasts long enough, you have a 20 Dawn deck, that's 10 and 10. You can't have 20 and 0, you can't have 15 and 5. You can't have like 7 and 8 and 5 in your Dawn deck. You get the idea. 2 different board states, but 1 deck, 1 Dawn deck. You might have noticed, deck pretty big. Forgot to mention, 75 card deck, just to replicate that Commander feel of big deck go burr, but no one of rule. I don't think it's necessary. Could change in the future, but honestly, the way the game's designed, it just didn't make sense for that format to follow that rule. But hold on, here's where things get interesting. When playing Alliances format, and you go to cast, so say you have 4 Dawn, you go to cast Brook. You choose which board you want it on. We'll say you want on the Shanks side. So you play Brook. And then maybe you play Uda. You go to play another Brook. Here's where things get interesting. You cannot have the same character as another character on the same board. So you cannot put this Brook on the Shanks board. It has to go on the Uda board. And that means if you have any other Brook, like the 2-drop Brook, 4-drop Brook, doesn't matter. The name is all that matters. So you cannot have the same name on the same board. And that means you will get into some ruling issues that I will cover in future videos after I play test the format. But basically, broadly speaking, if you have, like, say, Kazuki Odin and a Yamato that says this character's name counts as Kazuki Odin, cannot have them on the same board state either. Yamato on one side, other Odin on the other, because their names both count as Odin. Just a technicality ruling, but definitely a ruling that I would rule in favor of that is Odin, just for clarity's sake. Now here's another thing where things get interesting. When you go to declare an attack, there's going to be 4 players. So imagine you're player 1, 2, 3, 4. When you're going to declare an attack with the board state, you choose which person at the table you're attacking. So we'll say you're going to go with your left. You're going to attack player 2. Once you declare that attack, you choose where their attack is going based on their board state. But once you've declared that attack, this left board state can now only attack that player. You cannot attack any other players with a left board state except that player now for the remainder of this turn. Future turn, resets, make more attacks. So that means that your left board state's always going to be focused on this player, and then when you make an attack, if you want to make an attack with your right board state, you choose, and you do have to choose a different player. You cannot just gang up with one board state all on one guy. Moving on to some more fun rules. You can counter out for whoever you want. So that means if your person to your left gets attacked and you want to try to like politicize with them and help them out, you know, counter, you know, with regular characters, counter events. Likewise, you can block for other players. So if this player gets attacked and, you know, it's lethal, or you're trying to, you know, keep one of their key characters alive, you can block for them. Makes things interesting, makes it so that if you're in the late game and you really need to push for game, or you need to, or someone's trying to run away with the game, people can kind of collaborate to stop it from happening. How do you lose? Pretty simple. When you lose all your life and you take a lethal swing, your character is now rested and stays rested for the remainder of the game. Does not get around effects. Their effects can still be applied, you know, where applicable. This is where attacking base leaders might be a little weaker in the format, but, you know, just something to think about, like when it comes to deck building. And, you know, there might be some future rule changes depending on how that balance goes, but I think it's fine for now because it's mostly a casual format anyway. And I have some ideas for if things don't go the way I think they'll go. You know, I have ways to like mitigate that a little bit. But I'm going to wait and see if it's absolutely necessary first. But yeah, basically you lose and get out of the game when all your life is taken from both leaders and both your leaders have taken lethal. So it is what it is. So, you know, kind of to be expected. Can have 5 characters on the left side, 5 characters on the right side. Can't share any names. You cannot, oh, this is another important thing. Leaders have to be different names too. So you cannot run Purple Yellow Croc and you can't run Blurple Croc together. You can run Blurple Croc and like, you know, another Blurple leader. That's fine. But you can't run like Luffy. You can't run Croc. You can't run Law. You get the idea. So I think that's most of the rules to get us started. I'll make more videos in the future. This is just a kind of rough alpha idea of what the format's trying to be. Hopefully it's a lot of fun for everyone. I've got a lot of decks and playtesting to do, and I'll be updating us as we go. Hopefully I remembered everything in the video. If not, I might just edit it in and we'll go from there. All right, well, thanks. Oh, I did forget something. Banning. We're going to be playtesting before we get too serious into banning, but we are banning the Nami leader immediately because I'm just kind of concerned about how it could take off, because you're going to have a lot of life, first of all, and then you can run leaders like Rebecca, Vivi, Queen, just the card draw, Crocodile. Like, there's just too many options, I think, for breaking the Nami leader in ways that I'm not sure how I feel about, but yeah. Oh, and another thing, applied effects. Because these are 2 different board states, if you have an effect that cares about a specific leader, then you're going to want to make sure you're casting it on the right side, or the correct side, because there's a left and a right side, and I should be careful. But yeah, so if your leader needs a Baroque word, we'll say you miss all Sunday, you're going to want to put your miss all Sundays on the Crocodile side. Remember, you can only have 1 at a time, and so there is that weird sort of decision where if you need more blockers, you're going to need to put a miss all Sunday on the side, and then if your only other blocker in hand that you're casting is another miss all Sunday, you're going to have to awkwardly just know that you're going to put it on this side, and it is what it is. When you're casting events, same idea. You cast them from one of the board states, can sometimes affect things, not a huge deal. Targeting. How does targeting work in a multiplayer game? I'm glad you asked. If you are using a counter event and it specifies opponent on the card, it targets the opponent, it targets the aggressor. So if you're either the person being attacked or the person assisting the defending player, it targets the aggressor's board state, which would be whichever left or right board state they're swinging at you at. Now, if it's a card that doesn't target, say like Overheat or Demolition Breath or whatever it's called, that doesn't specify opponent, can hit anyone. Board wipes might be too strong. Gonna need to investigate. I think the Shanks is fine. I'm a little nervous about the Kaido. I have some cards that are red flags. I think it'll be fine just because that is still Dawn -6 and other players can sort of team up if it becomes an issue. But, you know, only ban for now is, I think we'll ban the Nami leader and we'll ban Moby Dick, I guess, just to be safe. No, I don't feel comfortable doing. Yeah, just be safe. Yeah, I think we'll just ban the Nami leader and Moby Dick to be safe. I think other than that, everything's fine. And I'm going to bring this to my people, and we're going to start playtesting it. And if there's anything I missed, my community will correct me, and we'll come up with updates to the rules as it goes. I just want to put this out there so I can get credit for the idea. I don't care if there's derivatives of this. I just want to get the idea out there so I can start playing this fun thing that I came up with. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to really bring in a new era for the One Piece community, for the trading card game, and just, going to be a lot of fun in general. But yeah, I hope it takes off. Well, thanks for watching, YouTube. Take it easy.